I was watching this video and I'm quite surprised. Well, the reason I took this is her lips. Look at her lips. That doesn't look right. Right, she's supposed to be on live television. But anyway, and then she has a winking problem, but she's not really winking. She's just closing her eye, and this is what happens. So this little bit of video at me at the beginning is the anomalies that I see in the video. But this is Fox News, and I'm really surprised that Fox News are putting this out, that everybody is unhappy with Biden figures, and they're saying Camilla can't get away with this because she's part of the team. It's like being married, but it looks like they're just waiting to get Camilla in, because one of the people says, well, he's going to go to bed and wake up and find Camilla's there. I mean, like, how do you do that when you're the president? What, they oust you while you're asleep? But we know it's all part of their games. Now, do they really look? Yes, I suppose they do look a bit similar, but they don't. One has more clarity than the other, but they're still cartoons. He's never really in these. Joe Biden has blue eyes. Blue eyes. And what colour eyes does he have there? Well, he doesn't have blue, he has black or brown eyes. That is because it's a CGI copy of him. So, she's also talking, have a funny little emoji going the whole time, like, we're taking the mickey out of everything. But you know that Fox News and channels like this are the channels that are promoting all this, promoting it all, and the media are running everything, so it's all part of their games. But I just didn't really like the top of his head, and I don't know, he just doesn't look right, does he? Does he look like he is real or a cartoon? Yeah, and then his face is a bit fuzzy there, and it wouldn't be if he was real. You know, you don't sit there and think, oh look, his face has gone fuzzy. And then this guy comes on to talk later on. Now, none of those people are standing there. Once you realise this, that none of them are standing there. And when they zoom in, there's something wrong with his sleeve on his left, our right. Look at that. You see, we've so been blind that we never noticed it. We never noticed all the special effects, which aren't actually that good, because we can see them. And once you see them, you always see them. You suddenly think, did I see that jacket look right? Or that face? Or, oh, did you see that glitch? Or the zigzags? Or whatever it is that you notice. Anyway, so why are they giving us all this information about how bad Biden is? Yeah, considering they're not elected, they're selected. So what's your thoughts to this video? Anyway, the first bit, the bit with them in, isn't right. So what do you make of the rest, which is supposed to be Biden, but I've told you it's a cartoon? So what's your thoughts to the rest?
So what's the lowdown? Well, we could go through the numbers ourselves, but they just sound so much better when CNN has to read them, don't you think?
These new poll numbers, frankly, are brutal for the president. In this brand new Quinnipiac poll, only 38% of Americans approve of how Biden is handling his job, compared to 53% who disapprove. That's the lowest approval rating Biden has had since taking office. Another striking number, only 39% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of the economy. 55% say they disapprove of the job he's doing on the economy. And when asked, is Joe Biden an honest president? 44% of Americans say yes. 50%, a plurality, say no. And one of the most damning results of all, more than half of the American people, 55%, say the Biden administration is not competent in running the government. 42% says the administration is.
And here's more from that same poll that Tapper left out. 67% disapprove of Biden's handling of the situation at the Mexican border and immigration issues overall. 56% don't think he has good leadership skills. 54% disapprove of his handling on taxes. 50% disapprove of his response to the coronavirus, and 58% disapprove of his job performance as Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. military. Joining us now with more on this, former advocate at the U.S. Small Business Administration Office of Advocacy under President Trump, Bruce Lavelle. Bruce, How low can Biden go?
I don't know. It seems like you need some theme songs behind these numbers. It's very dismal. It's kind of sad, but listen, once again, all during the entire, when he was running for, the presidency, as you might say, he was protected by these very same networks. They said, no, you stay down there in the basement, Joe. We got you covered. Big tech, all the mainstream medias, they were all in it together. They were all holding hands, singing Kumbaya. They were literally shutting out, obviously, Trump's message, especially towards the brown community. And they did a great job at it. But listen, the truth is being told. He can't hide the disastrous situations going on at the borders of the economy and the rising gas prices. Now, these people are starting to say, like, oh, my God, what have we done? So the truth is coming out. So, yeah, listen, the sad thing about this, Natalie, is this is actually this train wreck is actually going to get worse because of the decisions this administration's making, and it's coming, as I say, it's coming to pass based on the real truth behind the quote Biden administration. And Joe Biden's starting to see that he made friends with these people. Now he's starting to see, like, oh my gosh, they're going to try to probably slide him out and pull Kamala in his place in the middle of the night while he's asleep. So yeah, this is a shocking, but it's not something new to the American people.
Kamala Harris has to love it right now because her poll numbers were always the worst. The fact that Biden can go lower than her, she's actually going to probably be in a better shape to go out on the campaign trail next year because they were going to pull her. At this point, even Terry McAuliffe is saying he's trying to separate from Biden.
Yeah, well, she might think that, but listen, she's still going to have to own this administration. She's going to have to own, like I said, the spiking gas prices, the inflation, the disastrous border, the folks that are just, the hundreds of thousands of people that come across our border. No one is knowing where they went or where they're at. The disastrous, quote, evacuation out of Afghanistan. She's still got to own this, Natalie. So she can pretend like, well, I wasn't the president, but you're still part of this team. Look, last I checked, you win as a team, you lose as a team. So they're going to have to own all of this and deal with this. So I don't see this being any advantage for her. If anything, this is going to be a disadvantage for her and for the entire team, if there is a team in the White House right now.
And they made such a big deal of calling it the Biden-Harris White House, the Biden-Harris administration. At this point, she probably at that point thought it was a good idea. But at this point, she's tied to Biden whether she likes it or not.
Yeah, they are. They're married. They had a wedding together and the flowers were thrown and, oh no, you're not going to leave me. No, you're still married. And listen, they can run, they can't hide, Natalie. But, once again, all jokes aside, this is so sad because you see the state of our country. You see how our foreign adversaries and leaders, how they're looking at us and how they're laughing at us. And you saw how China's, flexing over there in Taiwan. You saw what's going on in the Middle East where they're looking around like, okay, yeah, it's open season. And you see what's going on in our very own country and how the cancel culture, you see, is really going all in and literally trying to create and change and create the narrative in their liking. So listen, E all the above is those old school tests I used to take. E all the above is exactly what this entire administration is. It's E all the above of disaster.
But they are increasing their net worth. When you look at what Hunter's doing with all of his art deals now, the Biden administration, this was never about helping America. This was about profiting off America. So Biden could care less at this point about his poll numbers, just as he could care less. He got 8 circles to show up for him last year during the campaign season. This has only been about one thing, and China and Russia, you're right, they are laughing at us right now. But Bruce, we're going to get the last laugh next year at the polls, aren't we? We're going to make sure we keep America, make America great again, because we have to keep America and save America, because what's happening right now, there's not going to be an America anymore.
Amen, sister. But listen, we'll be back stronger, bigger, faster, meaner, and you name it, all the above.
Absolutely.
We'll get better. And most of all, we're going to attract all the America First candidates that are on those ballots. That's going to be the resurrection of the new 2024.
Amen. We'll look forward to seeing you soon, Bruce. God bless you.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Always good to see you. And still to come on The Real Story. Since Joe Biden is just so good with numbers, doing the math on his multi-trillion-dollar Build Back Better agenda and coming up with a cost of $0, now Biden's going a step further. leaning into his mathematical expertise to try and explain to the American people how the debt ceiling works and why it needs to be raised. Not because he wants to spend more money, but because the Republicans did.
The reason we have to raise the debt limit is in part because of the reckless tax and spending policies under the previous Trump administration. In 4 years, they incurred nearly $8 trillion. In 4 years, $8 trillion in additional debt. In bills we have to now pay off. That's more than a quarter of the entire debt incurred now outstanding after more than 200 years.
So almost as long as Biden started out in the Senate, or that was just 120 years ago. But still, Biden's not stopping there in his disinformation campaign. In fact, his team designed this nice little set so he could talk to business leaders and CEOs on Wednesday about paying what we owe.
Let me be clear. Raising the debt limit is paying our old debts. There's nothing to do with new spending or what may be coming this year or other years. There's nothing to do with my plans on infrastructure or building back better, both of which are paid for, but they're not even in the queue right now. It's about paying for what we owe and preventing a catastrophic event occurring in our economy.
A catastrophic event like, say, your Build Back Better agenda? Because that's certainly going to be catastrophic, all right, if the debt limit does indeed get raised to pay for it. And Mitch McConnell appeared to think the same back on September 14th, when he declared Republicans were united in opposition to it.
Republicans are united in opposition to raising the debt ceiling, not because it doesn't need to be done. So I want to make sure everybody clearly understands this. The last time the debt ceiling was raised, it was done on a bipartisan basis in conjunction with an overall caps agreement, and that debt ceiling increase covers basically what we did last year.
You got that, Biden? So your attempt to blame Republicans and President Trump isn't working. Now, as to this year.
This year is unique, and as you all know, I've been here a while. I've never seen such an effort to expand the reach of the federal government like we've been confronted with this year through not but just one reconciliation process, but apparently yet another. So if they want to do all of this on a partisan basis, they have the ability and the responsibility to ensure that the federal government not default, and they will have to take care of that.
And yet, after just over 3 weeks of building the pressure, leading up to the October 18th deadline, McConnell tweeted this statement on Wednesday, writing in part, "To protect the American people from a near-term Democrat-created crisis, we will also allow Democrats to use normal procedures to pass an emergency debt limit extension at a fixed dollar amount to cover current spending levels into December." Give the Democrats an inch when they'll take a mile. For even this statement wasn't enough for the likes of Circleback Jen Psaki. For as senators were still battling out the details during her press briefing on Wednesday, she had this to say about it.
There's been no formal offer made. A press release is not a formal offer. And regardless, even the scant details that have been reported present more complicated, more difficult options than the one that is quite obvious in the president's view and is in front of the faces of every member up on the Hill. We could get this done today. We don't need to kick the can. We don't need to go through a cumbersome process that every day brings additional risks.
Next level.